SMA Muhammadiyah 1 Yogyakarta.
Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin wassalatu wassalamu ala asyrafil anbiya'i wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajmain amma ba'du. To the honorable speech adjudicators, fellow audience, and fellow contestants, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
My name is Amira Savitri from SMA Muhammadiyah 1 Yogyakarta, and today I will be delivering a speech entitled Building the Awareness of Literacy. I always loved reading ever since I was a baby. I would ask my parents to read a book to me before I go to bed, and another one as soon as I wake up. I can only imagine how annoying I was to them. Even before I could understand how random letters could form a word and how random words could form a sentence, I was already fascinated by the stories books could tell. I think the best day of my life was when I finally learned how to read. At 4 years old, I discovered my hobby. I discovered something that I was passionate about, something that I loved and could never possibly get enough of. My love for reading turned into a love for writing, and my love for writing turned into a love for writing in my diary, to writing short stories, to poems, and to speeches. That's the power of reading. I was fortunate enough to be taught how to read by a wonderful preschool teacher, but I'm aware that not everyone has that opportunity. That's one problem. But what about the many people who have access to reading and writing materials but don't use them? The awareness of literacy in Indonesia is pretty disappointing, and that needs to change. In my speech, I will be talking about the importance of literacy, how we can encourage literacy in our society, and what to expect from it. First, what is literacy? According to the dictionary, literacy is the quality state of being literate, especially knowing how to read and write. But why is it so important to encourage literacy? Well, according to the latest PISA date from 2015, which is an international assessment that measures reading, mathematical, and science literacy every 3 years, over 86% of Indonesian 15-year-olds read at PISA level 2, lacking in the ability to understand written materials. What's the point of knowing how to read but not understanding the message it's trying to convey? I know that a lot of my friends, and myself included, are guilty of trying to memorize an entire textbook a night before an exam. And I hate to break it to you, but this doesn't work. It's not effective, it's not healthy, and in the end, you don't learn anything. Because that's not the essence of learning, and that's not the essence of literacy. What literacy is about is you read, and then you try to make sense of it, and you apply it to your daily lives. Literacy is also especially important in this day and age when hoaxes are a big enemy to our country and our minds. The internet is a free space, and while that has its benefits, it's also filled with a lot of fake news that are aimed to try to divide our people. We all know that we shouldn't believe everything we read on the internet, but only by being equipped with knowledge from reading certified books and trustworthy sources can we be able to differentiate right from wrong and be able to not be fooled by the internet. Ladies and gentlemen, my school spends the very first 15 minutes of every day reading the Holy Quran together. This is something that I believe all schools, both Islamic and not, should practice. Because school is so hectic, some allocated time for students to be able to read in a way that is enjoyable without any pressure is crucial to make sure that they enjoy reading and make a hobby out of it. I believe that reading is one of the very few things that is actually made for everyone. It's just a matter of finding the right material to read and where to read it. I mean, imagine if state libraries were as comfortable as those coffee shops in town. Imagine how many people would be going to a library instead of Starbucks. Libraries need to be upgraded and should be facilitated to people. They also need to be accessible by every layer of society, no matter where you are in the country. But Also, schools need to come up with creative ways to make literacy fun and interactive, such as holding book reading competitions or poetry writing competitions. And home is a massive influence. I mean, if children aren't encouraged to read at home, it's highly unlikely that they're going to enjoy it outside of home too. Supportive parents are key to developing an interest and passion in literacy. Ladies and gentlemen, as technology continues to grow and expand, we need to be able to adapt to the technological change. Let me tell you, when the world changes, readers will be prepared. Why? Because readers are always going to be one step ahead. They've already lived 100 lives through the imagination and words of authors. Literacy is important to creating a creative and intellectual youth. I know I want to go to college here, and I want to be surrounded by a generation of readers who can come together to think of ways to contribute to making a better future for our country. Why? What for? Climate change, overpopulation, world hunger, these are just a number of problems that we're facing. When we empower our literacy, we can empower our education and empower our future by creating humans that can think critically to solve these problems. Ladies and gentlemen, in conclusion, I have talked about the importance of literacy, how we can encourage literacy in our society, and what to expect from a generation of readers. Reading is the bridge that connects people. It's a tool to find yourself. That's why it has such a special place in my heart. It's what got me here today. As friend LeBowen once said, always think before you speak, but read before you think. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
How did you attract your fellow teenagers to read?
I think, like I said, reading is something that I think is one of the very few things that is actually made for everyone. It's just a matter of finding what works for you. And I think in this culture today, reading isn't considered cool or anything. There's definitely some change. What I like to do to encourage my friends to read is if I find a book that I think they might be interested or something that I think they can relate with, I immediately share it with them. I encourage them to read because I think not everyone is going to be born a reader, but you can encourage your friends to read. And I think that's what's so important about literacy being a community thing, where everyone can take part in it.
Can I have one? In your experience, what was their reaction?
Well, some of them were nice. Some of them were kind of like, man, I don't really like that book. That one's not for me. But I think you can always just keep trying and experiment with different books. Like for me, it took a while to find the books that I like and the genre that I like. So I think just by experimenting and encouraging people to read and making it something cool and not something nerdy or anything, it's a good way to encourage people to read and make it into a culture.
Thank you.
It's really nice. Ladies and gentlemen, Mrs. Amira Savitri.